we go. Hello, hello. Welcome to Ram and Goat Astrology. I'm Laura Lee.
And I am Helena. Hello and welcome to the November forecast episode.
Yes, November already. This is also our 100th episode. Yes.
That's right. I forgot.
It's our 100th episode together. Isn't that fun? We're wrapping up October. We're going into November. It's very scorpionic, transformative. And we're working on like transforming the podcast. And what does this look like? So we've got all kinds of Scorpio vibes going over here.
Yeah. And we're both wearing brown, which I feel like is like the color for transformation, because it's sort of the color of like dirt and like
the
compost.
The leaves turning dark brown. I feel like we're just various colors of leaves right now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. It's been a rough October for me. How's your October?
No, October has been rough. I literally started on the 1st of October. I went into the ER. I've had, I'm fine, but I've had like a lot of physical scares, which is not common for me. I'm usually a very healthy person. But yeah, October 1st, it just bang. Like I went into the ER, and then after it sort of just continued, and physical stuff led to a lot of worry stuff in my head. And I mean, when we recorded October's episode, I remember looking at October and feeling like this is gonna be, one of those months. I was like a little bit excited, as you are, before, when you're
optimistic.
Optimistic and thinking like this is gonna be fun and adventurous, and then when you're in it, you're just like, let me out of here.
Never mind.
Like, yeah, I've been done with October for a long time, but for me, something shifted like this last week in October, and it's been really great this last week. But I've had many friends who has had also such a rough October, and most of it for them also it started on the 1st of October.
Same here. Same here. Yeah. We had the repercussions of Hurricane Helene, in our country, and then the next hurricane, and it was just our country got slammed, which at the same time the eastern seaports were also in the union was on strike, and so the ports were shut down for a couple days. It was just there's a lot of chaos over here. And then my friend Jade and her children they were involved with the Helene situation. So they needed to get out for a little while to like let the towns and stuff reset a little bit and figure out what they were going to do. So they were living in a camper in our yard since like October 2nd. So they've since been able to get their feet under them and get some plans of action and all that, and head back and get packed up. But it was a lot to have 3 extra people here, and we have 1 bathroom. So it was just energetically, it was just a lot. And October itself energetically was a lot. So I'm grateful that I feel like I made it through with just a few scabs and scars. Not too bad, but also a lot of great stuff too, right? Like a lot of possibilities keep feeling like they're opening up. With our farm has a lot of transformations happening, and Philip and I have charts that are similarly aligned. He's a Taurus rising and I'm a Gemini rising, so our houses are similar in our chart, and our 6th house has a lot of activity for both of us, and it's very Libra Scorpion season for us in our daily routines and activities. So it's a lot of transformation typically for our family, like September, October time. And it's definitely happening again this year. And we're riding the wave, but it's big. I just found out today when I was talking to you earlier, Jupiter is currently being highlighted in my chart by the sun. And it's really an intense feeling. And I remember telling you, I need to travel. I just need to go somewhere. Yeah. We haven't made any plans this year to travel because we're so focused on growing this business we've got going with our disc golf and our event rental and camping and all the stuff we're working on here. So that yearly trip I look forward to where I kind of get a reset is not happening this year. And I'm like, oh, I can feel it in my heart. But man, Jupiter is the planet of travel. And I didn't know the sun was on top of that today until I was chatting with you. So it's kind of opened my eyes a little bit to what else can I do with this energy? How can I manage this energy properly? And maybe I schedule a trip, at least something to look forward to, or a night away at a little local hotel or something, right?
Yeah, just something adventurous.
Yeah.
But I just want to say also about October. I mean, we started the month with a solar eclipse in Libra. Yes. So it was, I mean, eclipses are always like that. It's very expected to expect the unexpected, you know? And it's very much that chaotic energy, which it has been in the world and like personally also in our lives. You know, you got 3 extra family members. I went to the ER for like stuff that I never even knew I had an issue with. And now I sort of don't. But, you know, it was just very strange. And we had a couple of quite challenging things happening in October. We also had, let's see here, we had the sun square to Pluto.
Yep. I remember that
in
day.
the end of the month. Yeah. And before that, we also had...
There were some serious power struggles here that day. Some serious, intense with like just my kids like really fighting me in intense ways that they don't normally, right? And I'm like, what's happening in the sky today? Oh, hey, Pluto. Nice to see you. Thanks for showing up.
Oh my God. It's a tough one. And we had Venus opposite to Uranus. So, I mean, you guys should all go and listen back to the October episodes because I find it very helpful, even like when you go and listen to something like that happened, that was in the past, because it makes sense.
New perspective.
Yes. And even like I had such a hectic month, and then in the end of the month, I actually sat down and listened to our episode, and I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? Because I had already forgotten about everything. And then, you know, I don't even take my own advice. I should have, but
girl, you're talking to the queen over here. The queen of telling people what advice they need. And then I hear it as I'm saying it to them. And I hear the advice I'm giving them, and my brain catches it after like the 4th time I've really pounded it home with the client, right? And then I hear myself go, are you listening, Laura? Oh, shit, this is for me. Oh,
am I supposed to be listening too? Yeah.
Yep, it's a thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy about going into October. No, I keep doing this thing when I think it's going to be October.
Leaving October.
It's already November. Yeah. Okay, we're going into November. It just feels way too far in the future. But yeah, it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, yeah. November 1st. And we start off with this new moon in Scorpio. What a way to start the month.
Yes, it's really interesting because last month also started with a new moon.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first transit of the month, and here we go again. New moon in Scorpio. And this is not a solar eclipse.
No.
New moon. So this is just a regular schmegular new moon. You know, it's about new beginnings, setting intentions, grateful spell work, all of those things. And it's in Scorpio, which is like the most underworldly sign and energy in the zodiac. And it's really fitting that on the 2nd of November, it's Dia de Muertos.
Oh, yes.
Dia de Muertos.
Yep.
My boyfriend's from Mexico, so we're setting up an altar here. But that's happening like on the new moon.
Yeah.
In Scorpio, which feels like extra magical.
So fitting. So fitting. And one of the things I love about this is because the new moon is really like planning ahead, right? It's looking towards the future, whereas the full moon is really letting go, and the new moon really helps us to plan. And Scorpio is intense, it's powerful, it's transformative, and it's very like potential filled, right? I feel like it's the pull back before the Sagittarius release. So the Scorpio is when you really pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, and you wait and you settle your energy. You take a deep breath. And then once we hit Sag energy, we can fire it. But Scorpio energy is the being wise and smart about the energy pullback. And so if we get to really plan for something new and transformative, and we're pulling back so we can like build up energy, build up the tension. And then in Sag season,
I love that. And I really, really love this season. It's my favorite, like it's not my favorite weather. but it's my favorite season. I love watching the nature go to rest.
Yes.
And when you were talking about like, you know, taking back that arrow, I feel like, yeah, it's like almost like, you know, you take it so far back, like you dig your heels in the ground and you maybe even go underground. So because Scorpio is, I think about a worm who's like digging itself down underground and like eating stuff and then pooping stuff to regenerate like energy for other things. Like a worm, is an earth worm?
Yes.
Is that what they're called?
Yes.
Yeah. They are very so Scorpionic. I mean, everything that lives and dies. But this specifically, because I feel like that's the only thing they do. They just eat and poop, eat and poop, eat and poop.
Under the ground.
And help us like transmute the soil.
Yeah. And then we dig them up and we expose them, and then we put them on a hook and we put them in the water to be earten by fish.
Yeah.
It is so transformative, very scorpionic life existence, those earthworms. How do you say earthworm in Swedish?
Dagmask.
Dagmask.
Yeah. So that means like dew worm. Dew. Like morning dew.
Oh, I like that.
Dew worm. Yeah.
I love it. So yeah, they are very scorpionic. So think of your worms. Send all your worms some love.
Yes, I'm very excited about this new moon. You know, but because it's Scorpio, I mean, it also can bring up to light like those skeletons you have in your closet. And yeah, Pluto is a ruling planet of Scorpio, and Pluto is also moving sign this month. So that's also a very big thing.
It is. Yeah, and it will dig up things that you are not wanting to deal with. And I'm not wanting to deal with the fact that I definitely need to cut back on some of the things going on in my life. Even though there's a lot, I have to set healthier boundaries with when I take clients, and maybe I just have to book out a couple weeks or a couple months, right? Like I'm really having to be very clear and create just more intentional white space for me to do that deep work, because I can feel there's like symptoms coming up. Like I am not, my health issues are showing up, right? And again, this is the 6th house for me. The sun is going through the 6th house. Scorpio season is all my 6th house, where Jupiter is. My planet of self-care is also in Scorpio. Like if I don't start listening to, I've had 3 headaches this week. You know, I'm doing a lot of kind of evaluation of how I'm spending my daily routines, how I'm spending my time. And I'm having to make some big, hard decisions and some hard changes. And that affects everything. There's a ripple effect. And you and I have been talking about, you know, altering the podcast and maybe going to twice a month instead of every week, and just certain things like that. And that's hard when like you want to, you want to do more, but it's just not, it's not feasible at this moment in life.
Yeah.
And that's the evaluation we have to do. And it's so difficult. So difficult. Yeah. Scorpio season is not an easy one, that's for sure. But I sure do appreciate it.
It brings up those tough questions. But yeah, so if you're a listener who listens to us regularly, you might have noticed that it's been a little up and down lately. Like some weeks we have not been releasing, and that has been because we have prioritized ourselves pretty much. And we really want to do this, like keep recording and releasing, but sometimes like you said,
it just doesn't happen,
you
or
just
didn't.
Can't.
Yeah. Whether it's getting it edited or getting it uploaded or whatever. So, and we're kind of at that transition where maybe we need to have somebody help out, but not like financially there yet. And so there's a lot of weird transitional stuff I think we're going to be undergoing just as a podcast. And this new moon in Scorpio really helps us to, both you and me, have a business meeting and evaluate that and make plans for the future. It's very energetically aligned. So yay us.
But hang in there, guys. We really love you for sticking around. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We will.
Yeah, we will.
November 2nd, Mercury is entering into a new sign. So take note of that. The mind will be leaving a very energetic, excuse me, I got fish in my throat here. Very energetic, different sign from Scorpio into Sagittarius. So it's going to shift your mind. So right now, maybe you're thinking in a deeper way, and now it'll go into Sagittarius and have lots more optimistic, out there thinking. So that's a nice shift.
Yeah,
I think.
Definitely. Like going from focusing on what's going on inside, like very like psychological and quite deep, and now maybe focusing more on, I do want to travel. I want to study. I want to go out and see some friends, focus on the outside world instead of the inside world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's nice. It's a different shift from where I know a lot of people struggle with their mind in this location with Mercury and Scorpio, and they feel like they need to go get depression meds or whatever, right? Like they feel like it's something they're doing wrong, when in reality, as just Mercury and Scorpio, and you're just not used to it, right? But then when it comes out and goes into Sag, typically people feel better, across the board. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got next?
On November 3rd, we have a big one. We have Mars in Cancer, opposite to Pluto in Capricorn. Both of these planets are on final degrees in these signs. So this is a big one because Mars is can be quite aggressive. It's action taking, and it's like loud noises. It's like rah, action. And Pluto is about power and control.
Yeah.
And destruction, also life and rebirth. But so with this opposition, because oppositions are felt as a tension, this doesn't sound that nice.
No.
To have these two planets talking to each other in this tension-filled way, with the power and control and with the action, borderline aggression planet.
Power, yeah. So this is 2 days before our presidential election.
Oh. Okay. So you could expect something to actually be happening at maybe
an event or something. Yep.
Yeah. This is a time to be careful rather than sorry. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Because this Mars also in Cancer. Cancer is a very patriotic sign. It and Mars being here is like someone it's this energy of guarding your country and your borders with everything you have. And Pluto in Capricorn is all about structure and presidents
and tradition and government. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So
and I also think it's interesting we have a female running for president, which would be our first time here, right? Having a female. And so I feel like that Mars in Cancer with that feminine energy is almost like representing one side of our government with this female, and then Pluto in Capricorn with this white male, energy is like what we've always had, is this tradition, right? And I'm not getting political. I'm just pointing out what I observe, right? Like I don't want anybody coming down on us here. But it feels like that's what these two are. It's almost like we've got Miss Harris, we've got Mr. Trump, and it's Mars in Cancer, Pluto in Capricorn, very battly.
It is very heated.
Very heated.
Yeah. So
this can trickle into the home. Be very cautious.
Oh, definitely.
Be very cautious that this doesn't come home from school or come home from, don't bring this into the home. Don't bring this into the home. Mars in Cancer can also be very compassionate, like passionately compassionate. If you put those two together, it doesn't have to be fighty and bitey. It doesn't have to be, right? And we can have more empathy and compassion when we really, really shift these energies to a higher vibration. But I promise you, the country is going to be feeling this big time.
Oh, yeah. And you can have political indifferences and you can still be friends and married to each other or whatever it is. We're here to learn from each other.
Yeah.
Not anything else,
right?
But that. Yeah.
And then that same day, we have Venus hanging out in Sagittarius, and she's going to be opposite to Jupiter in Gemini. So this is an opposition, so still tension, but not as aggressive of a tension. So I feel like this will help to, I don't know, bring a little bit different flavor to the mix with the kindness of Venus and maybe like the optimism of Jupiter. How do you see this one?
Well, Jupiter in Gemini to me is just very loud. It's very, and I'm thinking about media now, especially now the election, and I'm thinking about how this could look at this time in that context. And Venus in Sag, Venus and Sag would love to explore and would value also
communicating your thoughts, right? Communicating, because Gemini and Sag are both very mentally energy related, right? There's a lot of activity going on up in the head.
Yeah. Sag can also be very guru-ish energy.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to see how could this this could be a little bit fanatical, maybe. It could be in media. I'm sure there's going to be. But that's always to be expected with politicians,
It is, but this feels like it might add to it a little bit more, right?
Yeah,
it might make it a little bit more obnoxious this year, right?
It's right on time.
Yeah. It feels like it has been a little bit more obnoxious, and the text messages they get your phone number somehow because they buy all the lists that they can buy, and they get your phone number and they send just text message after text message of whatever candidate's doing whatever, and you have to report junk and get rid of it. But it's they're really trying to weasel in there with all of the media, all of the advertising.
And I would say don't give a lot of money away to some campaign or to someone asking you about it on the internet or whatever, because this could be a money losing day big time.
Yeah, this is not a good gambling day. November 3rd. November 3rd is not a good betting on anything with money day.
Yeah.
Not with Mars in Cancer, because you might win and then somebody comes and beats you up and steals it back, right? There's all kinds of weird shit that this transit could show up as. So November 3rd is Sunday, going to be an interesting day. And then that same day, Mars decides to go into Leo. So what a day.
So it will oppose Pluto and then head into Leo, a sign where it will. I'm just thinking about. I sort of like that almost more than Mars in Cancer, because I feel like it's a little bit more at home in this fire sign, but it can also be a little much, a bit showy offy and really go do a lot of extravagant things. Your drive is to really go for big,
Yeah, I could see where this would be beneficial for business or something, right? Where I'm thinking marketing or advertising. So if we're ready to open our course or launch our event center, whatever we're doing, right? This feels like it'd be a good energy to start to use that. And this will be here for the rest of the year, I think, right? Yeah. So Mars will be hanging out in Leo for the rest of the year. So we can really use that energy to really kind of be driven to be seen or be driven to be recognized. That's really what that's asking for us.
And you know what I also actually really love about this is that Leo is a very brave sign because it just works from the heart. It will just protect the people that they love and stand up for them. And
it reminds me of a little kid who like is standing up for somebody, and she, like little girl standing up to a big guy going, "You can't do that," right? Like real brave, courageous, and genuinely sincere kind of energy.
Yeah, exactly, from the heart. So that's also an energy that will come with Mars in Leo.
I like that. What else is going on in the month?
So November 4, the sun in Scorpio then will be in a trine to Saturn in Pisces.
I love when the sun and Saturn are having a lovely conversation. It's like maturity is shined upon and people make thoughtful decisions, and there's like action that's taken that makes sense and really moves forward. It's like thought out. It's almost like when you take the bridge plans and you start to actually create the bridge. Like they're not just existing on paper anymore. Like they exist into reality now. Oh, I love that. That's November 4th.
I like that. And that it's with Scorpio and Pisces.
Lovely.
I really love that. So, it will be felt. Like whatever we do, we can also, it will be from our intuition a lot, and it will be just coming from a sincere heart place.
Yeah. And if there's anything about Scorpios, that it's an energy of truth seeking, right? Seeking out the truth is a very Scorpionic thing. And Saturn is very important with being mature and wise and taking our time. So when these two are having conversations with Sun and in this truth seeking, and the mature one in this creative and dreamy and imagination land of Pisces, I feel like we can really see through some of the lies. Some of the things that we've been told but aren't actually true, where the sun in Scorpio almost like shines through and it's like, no, here's the truth. Here's what this is. I love this. So that's the day before the election. So there's not much going on the actual day of the election, but I think we're going to be feeling all of the stuff from Sunday and Monday into the actual day of the election on Tuesday. So we'll see what happens. And then on November 11th, it's quiet for a little while. Then November 11th, Venus decides to enter into very grounded, pragmatic Capricorn.
Yes. So this is when you probably will like do inventory on your kids' clothes, stuff like that.
Absolutely. I actually just told my kids 2 days ago, I was like, go put your name on the board. I have a big whiteboard. Go put your name on the board and write underneath it what you need. Do you need shoes? Do you need boots? Do you need a winter coat? Are you good on mittens? Like I can't even go. You guys have to go find it and do it and tell me. Oh, November 11th. I'm putting that on the calendar. Clothing inventory day. All right, moms, so you got that written down? That's a Monday. Plan on like Monday evening. You're just going to go through the winter stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So that and anything else that has to do with, because pretty much Venus, our values will be focused on
practical stuff.
Yes.
Preparing. Practical. So if this is happening on a Monday, maybe like Sunday we'll start to feel the energy. So Sunday the 10th, you could start to do like, maybe you do a meal prep day where you just cook a whole bunch of meals and portion them out and put them in the freezer, right? Maybe you've been meaning to do that. Not like I have been meaning to do that for a while. I'm talking to myself. But I need to know that, this is a great day that's going to support that energy. So now on Sunday, November 10th, I don't think I have anything on my calendar. I might put meal prep day, and I just do that all day while the kids go through their clothes and come and bring me the jackets that are too small, and I tell them which pile to put it on, right? Great days to really use the energy in a really productive, flowing, practical way, which is Venus in Capricorn.
Yeah.
I love that. I am married to a man with Venus in Capricorn, and I got to tell you, he just makes sure I'm fed. He makes me the perfect cup of tea. He's very, very practical with how he shows his love. And I so appreciate that shit. But I don't get flowers, and that's fine because he grows them out in the garden, which is much more practical. But
yeah, he probably thinks that if they just last for a couple of days anyway, like that's a waste.
And then it makes a mess in the house. And who wants to do that? Yeah. Right. Very practical, man. I love it so much. Oh, but it is not like the most romantic. Okay. So don't be expecting lovey-dovey stuff because that was when Venus was in Libra. Not Capricorn.
The love will be like, I helped you with the meal prep.
Yeah. Or I'm going to go put siding on the building outside for you. So, right. Like very practical.
Yes. I fixed a hole in your favorite pants.
Yes, absolutely.
That kind of love.
Mm-hmm. Hey, honey, I ordered some new bed sheets for our room, right? Well, it's a very
amazing.
Like, I actually do need to get new bed sheets. I think I'm going to do that. That's funny. All right. What's next, girl?
Let's see here. Saturn goes direct in Pisces, November 12. Saturn has been retrograde forever, it feels like.
It does. But that's because it's in Pisces and we can't see where it is. We're like, where is it? It's in the fog.
Yeah. And there has been a lot of planets have been retrograde for a while. And I feel like there's a shift of things, lighting. It's getting lighter and it's starting to float. And this is going to help with that. And I mean, retrogrades definitely have a purpose. It's as much of a purpose as going as, being direct. But it just feels nicer to be going forward instead of dwelling in the past and thinking about and getting up lessons from the past that Saturn has dragged up and
I'm done with that now. Lesson?
Yeah, you're somewhere in your life and you think, I'm way past those things.
Nope.
And then Saturn retrograde and shoots you something like I thought that I was done with that, but clearly not.
No. Clearly not. No, he's really been I really pay attention to Saturn. He's very important in my chart, and I have to learn a lot from him in this life. He's very active in my chart. He's talking to my Venus and my rising sign. He's really, really next to my Mars. Very, very important planet in my chart. And I've read a lot about him. Liz Green's book on Saturn is phenomenal, but there's so much to learn from him. And when he's in Pisces, it's really about making sure you're serious about your creative talents, your intuitive talents, your gifts that are kind of unexplainable. Like you have to be serious about it. That's really what our collective has been supposed to be learning. Saturn's not going to be in Pisces for another 30 years. That's a long time.
This is true.
That's a long time. I will be a lot older and I would like to really recognize how much my creative talents are a part of me and what I need to incorporate them into business and into our structure. They have to be part of the structure. You can't just be in Earth school and not use your creative talents. I don't care if that looks like organizing a spreadsheet, because Virgo people, I appreciate that shit. I don't have that in my chart and I love you all because I can't do that on my own. Right? That's your creative talent. What we're here to do is really be mature about that creative talent and put it into something productive. That's what Saturn and Pisces has been asking us to do. And for some people, that creative talent is listening to your spirit homies and telling people who can't hear them very well what the message is, right? So many gifts out there. And your job is to do your creative gift.
Yeah.
And that's what Saturn in Pisces has been asking us. Now he went back to 12 degrees. So he kind of went almost back to the beginning. And now he's going to head fully straight through Pisces and get out of there.
Full speed ahead.
Like a little over a year and a half with him in here yet. But this is really what we got to build into our foundation, because when he moves into Aries, that's a whole new cycle. It's a brand new cycle. So what was the dream world of Pisces happening that we then get to take action on with Aries to then create foundationally into reality with Taurus, right? It's this transition we go through. And we're starting a new transition here fairly soon.
Yeah.
So I think Pisces has been really playing with us to really wake up our artistic, our intuitive, and creative abilities. And Saturn's like, yo, are you doing the work? And if the question is, or the answer is not yes, well, you have about a year and a half to work on that shit.
I really like that task that you gave us all now. Like, let's all think about what is our creative gift that we know about. We know it's there. We know it, but we're just not using it for whatever reason. Could be insecurities, could be you don't think you have time for it, you're not prioritizing your time, could be anything.
All of those, yes.
Yeah.
And think about Saturn being the ruler of time. He wants us to make, create, carve out, whatever terminology you want to use, time to do, physically do our imagination so that we can put it into reality. That's really the task here.
Yeah.
And make that part of the structure, very Saturnian word, of our lives. Because when he enters into this next Aries cycle and starts the whole zodiac over, the collective needs that. We need your talent, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, the collective needs you and me in Sweden and Wisconsin to meet up and chat about this shit, because otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. This is obviously part of our gift with your Venus in Gemini and my Gemini rising and moon, right? Like we have to give our information out. It's part of our language, our love language and our gift. And that's us doing our creative talent, right? But there's more, isn't there? There's more we could both be doing.
Oh yeah, I felt like you were speaking to me, and I definitely have been thinking about some creative outlets I used to have, but I have not been doing these things for a long time because of just prioritizing other things and you know thinking that it costs maybe too much money to do those things, and what's the point, sort of. But
But now we gotta, if you zoom out and look at the bigger picture and be like, oh, but we won't have this opportunity for another 30 years. I better do this now.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Then it kind of makes it more of a, well, yeah, this is the priority. Right. So I really love Saturn. Me and him. We've had a rough go, but we're getting there. All right. November 15th is a Friday. Everybody. It's a Friday, and we have a full moon in Taurus. I love this full moon. Like, really love this full moon.
Why?
Because I feel like it gives me permission to release all of that Chiron Taurus stuff that I deal with, right? That's the only thing I have in Earth is Chiron. And this full moon in particular allows me to just kind of shed some more Chironic layers and embrace food, or embrace spending money on my bed sheets that I want a higher quality thread count, right? Like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of things I can release around maybe some guilt I carry with that, or some wounds I carry with that. And this full moon always feels good to me. Always. I've noticed every single year. I love a Taurus full moon.
Yeah. And I also feel like it's a great time because Taurus is ruled by Venus. So this is also a great time to think back to, like, what are your values?
Yeah.
What do you want to be spending your time and money on?
Yeah.
What makes sense for you in the world to do that? And the other things, let them go, and like let them just shed off, and you don't need them anymore.
Yes. All that.
Because it's also very much the material world when it comes to Taurus. So like what makes sense to spend your money and time on?
Well, and that's the thing. And those are some of the core wounds that I struggle with. And I know that the people in my generation do, right? This late 70s to the mid 80s, those Chiron Taurus babies, we all struggle with that. And this is a full moon that really helps us kind of highlight that wound, that particular wound. And with that full bright moon, right? And we really get to kind of dig into the emotions of it, dig into the emotional issues of all of that Chiron and really let go, really release.
Yeah.
And each year we just kind of keep release more, release more, release more. Yeah. I don't normally really like feel a full moon like, oh, usually I'm like, ooh, but this one, it's just, and it's November and usually there's a fireplace and you're cozy and this is reading a book.
Yeah.
Like it's very like iconic, cozy full moon kind of thing.
Yes. The day after, the sun is still in Scorpio and it will now be in an opposition to Uranus in Taurus.
Okay.
So Uranus in Taurus, we have been talking so much about Uranus in Taurus.
Right.
We've made like multiple episodes of Uranus in Taurus, it feels like. Uranus can be a little bit destabilizing because it can mess with your nervous system. Because it brings such an unpredicted energy and sort of chaotic at the same time as it can bring like light bulbs, brand new ideas like, oh, I didn't think of that. Now I have the best idea and let's do it. Like it's also a genius energy. But because it's an opposition with our vitality, which is the sun, this just feels like a drainage day, like a vitality drainage, scattery sort of energy.
Yeah. Yes, it does. I was looking at my personal chart and I'm like, uh-oh, I better take note. It's just one of those.
You was just so happy about
I know.
I know.
I just saw that it's happening right on my Planet of Self-Care series.
Oh, okay.
So if you think about that, you're like, oh, energetic drainage. And I was like, oh, I better plan to not do any clients and just do a self-care day. Like that seems like what that is. That's really what that feels like for me is like, don't overdo it at all in any capacity. I'm going to block out my schedule right now.
Yeah. And this is, I don't mean for anyone to be like scared that it's going to be a terrible day. Not like that. It's just, like you said, make space and roll with the punches. Don't cling on to anything too hard because things are going to be like, plans are going to be changing this day because it's Uranus opposite to the sun. And there might be something amazingly marvelous coming out of that you just don't see in the moment because you're stressed out because your plans have been changed. But you just roll with the punches on this day.
Such good advice.
So then, ever before.
Such good advice. Yeah. Yeah. And if you plan something like, hey, I'm just going to plan a white space day, right? A white space day is literally, if something comes up, I've got white space for that. But, my intention is to do self-care or whatever. But, I'll be able to roll with those punches if I just make sure to plan that, to schedule that. And then whatever shows up, I'm ready.
Yeah. Yep.
So that is on what day was that? That was the 16th.
Was on the 16th.
Saturday the 16th. All right. Then on the 18th, what day we got there? That's Monday. The sun is trine to Neptune. My brain's like, I'm not going to want to do any work that day. That's like dreamy.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the trine. Yeah. But this could also mean that because Neptune is allowing us to sort of float out into space a little bit extra. And because sun is vitality, we can tend to maybe leave the earthiness a little bit too much, float away into this fog. So this is like, it's an amazing day for like going dancing and making art, those things. Not an amazing day to like do your finances or like run a marathon, for example.
No, this doesn't feel like a really like physical hard work day. This feels like a dreamy creative day, maybe, cooking in the kitchen or whatever, or just not like hard structured things. Every time I see Neptune, I'm like, well, it's just got to flow. You just got to get in the boat and flow with it, you know? So that's Monday the 18th. Mondays are usually rough in our house in general, but I'll make sure to extra plan in some flow that day.
Yeah.
Oh, the 19th. This feels good. It's been a while.
It's a big day in history.
Yeah. What's happening?
Huge. So Pluto is, I was going to say forever, but Pluto is leaving Capricorn and won't see Capricorn again for 248 years, and entering Aquarius now. So Pluto has been going back and forth, retrograding, and going direct in between Capricorn and Aquarius for a while. And now it's leaving Capricorn for a huge chunk of time. Like now it's done with Capricorn, fully going into Aquarius.
Yeah.
Fully the age of Aquarius is like upon us.
Yes. And this is really where that sign of the genius water bearer, the provider of intellectual information and rebellion and revolutionary change is going to be there for over 2 decades. Over 2 decades. So serious
that's a long time
change here. Yeah, serious change. I'm optimistically excited for this.
Yeah,
I think cautiously optimistic. That's
and I'm optimistic. I was gonna say I am more like cautiously cautious, but also excited. Excitedly cautious.
Because Aquarius, if there's anything I've learned, so my 3-year-old has 7 planets in Aquarius. So I feel like I'm getting a really firsthand experience of this energy and how this shows up in all various ways of planets, right? And if there's anything I've learned with her, and then my Aquarian nature too, is Aquarius likes to do one thing really, really well and focused for a set amount of time, and then it's done. And it shifts and it goes to this new thing. And it does that for a really intense amount of time, long time, whatever, like 6 to 10 months, 6 to 10 weeks, but it's a set time. And then when it's done, it's done. And we shift again. It's very like a box fan. I'm going to blow it at you for a while, and then I'm going to pick up the box fan. I'm going to move it over here. And now you're done getting that box fan air. And now it's blowing this direction. I'm interested to see how this manifests on a global scale with Pluto and transformations, right? We're going to transform into this. We're going to function this way. Okay. And now we're done with that. That didn't work. What's next? Boom. We're going to go this way now. Okay. Let's try this. Let's try that. Nope. That doesn't work. What's next? I feel like our governments are going to start doing shit like that, where it's just going to keep changing and changing and changing on a governmental realm. So
I mean, historically, Pluto in Aquarius has been a time for huge political changes in the world, and we have a whole episode on this too, called Pluto in Aquarius, I think.
Yes.
Am I right? Yep. Yes. I love that. I'm so sure that I just have to check anyway.
Yeah, that's
right. It. Yeah. So you can listen to that there, because there's so much to say about Pluto in Aquarius, and we have a month to cover here. But do go and listen to that Pluto in Aquarius, because
it's great.
Oh my God, it's big.
So that's Tuesday the 19th. So that's a big shift for our world. And then the 21st, the sun is done with Scorpio and is coming up out of the ocean up into the sky, and optimistic, gregarious, fun, playful Sagittarius. So adventure, exploration, travel, open your mind to new worlds, new ways of thinking, right?
Yeah.
Very freedom
loving.
Cowboy
of the zodiac, I usually say. It's it's just like wanting to ride out on the horizon and see like what's out there.
Yeah.
It's also about like studying, higher learning, hence traveling the world, because you learn about different cultures and you meet people and learn from them. So this is and this is so typically, like when I think about Christmas time, this is when Christmas stuff kicks into the next gear.
Yeah,
like
it does.
People start. Yeah. So I really love Sag, and Sag is also quite blunt. Sag is just like, what? Just
For
there.
real. Yeah.
Very, and I love that about Sag people, that they just say it as it is. But one thing that can happen with the sun in Sag, and that I see happen every year, is that people just spend a lot of energy and money on Christmas.
Yes.
And Sag can sometimes just be way too much because it's super optimistic and don't really realize when enough is enough. Like with, how many gifts should I buy my grandkids? Maybe not 20,
Yeah. Yep. I feel that.
Yeah.
Yes. I do appreciate the Sag energy and the optimism, for real. Like it really, I love the optimistic energy that comes with that exploration mindset, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
love
that
that.
happens on the 21st this year. Then what's next after that?
Also on the 21st, we have the sun in a sextile now to Pluto in Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I feel, is a very much arrow shooting out kind of day because, yeah, the sun just entered Sag, and then right away makes this sextile, which is this super easy flowing conversation with Pluto, the planet of transformation, in the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign for like newness.
Yeah. Let's do it different.
Yes.
Let's have a revolution. We're going to do it this whole new way.
This definitely feels like a revolution starting kind of day.
It does. Yeah, maybe put on your calendar November 21st.
Start a revolution.
and this could really look like a revolution in your home, right?
Yes,
this could look like, so my husband and I've been talking a little bit about really wanting to implement more mindfulness practices as a family, right? We're working on it individually. We're teaching the kids individually in their beds and stuff like that. But we really want to do it as a family unit, right? And whether that's doing a guided meditation together or doing some yoga together, this is where you could utilize this energy to create a revolution in your home and a new way of thinking, a new way of being as a family unit. Maybe we now eat dinner this way now, and then after dinner, instead of clicking the TV on, maybe we all do 10 minutes of savasana yoga and just lay down quietly on our yoga mats and breathe, right? Get our body to digest things differently. I mean, it's something where it's really, you could use this at home to make your goals as a family really be attainable and really reach for those in a new way. So it doesn't have to be in a revolution in a negative way, right? It doesn't necessarily mean the destruction of the government, but it could. But it could be the destruction of eating shitty or, talking in a certain way. And now we speak this way to each other instead, right? Just shifting in your home and revolutionizing the way you function at home.
Yes.
I love that.
That sounds amazing.
Right? I'm going for that one.
Revolution at home.
All right. So then we have the next day, the 22nd, which is a Friday. This is Venus in Capricorn. Remember, practical is having a lovely, lovely sextile conversation with Saturn in Pisces. So we've got this practical, really serious minded Venus right now, and this practical Saturn in the energy of Pisces, where we need to be creative and intuitive and flowing. So this is interesting. We can take some seriousness and artistry into our relationships. How else do you see this one showing up? What does this look like?
I love this because Venus is, resources and values, and Saturn is making sure that you do them right. Whatever you're doing it right. And with the sextile sort of suggests and or gives us the enhanced energy of this could be done really, really right. The energy is there for you to really, whatever it is, let's say that you have done inventory on your kids' clothes, and now you're gonna go out on a and get whatever you needed and maybe sell some stuff. Like this is a great day to get the necessary things that you needed and get really good one of those things, and maybe selling the things that you used to have for getting good value back for whatever it is that you sold. Like
this feels great. My brother and I are getting into with this disc golf course. He's kind of the professional disc golfer that I'm working with, and so we're getting to the point in our business where it's like getting to be contract signing time, right? Like defining your role. Okay, what is your role? What's being expected? How many hours? What happens? With spouses and payment and all of that stuff. And we're literally working this out. And we have a business meeting scheduled for the 17th, and we'll probably be finalizing it probably right around Friday the 22nd. So this is probably a great energy for those contract signing and laying down the foundation for long-term success and being in this creative energy of Pisces. And of course, we're being creative with this holistic and wellness minded disc golf course. So this feels really aligned. I love that. Or even something like another suggestion would be like getting engaged, right? Having that long-term contract there. So however that looks in your life, this is a great day for that. Friday the 22nd. All right. What else we got for the rest of November?
So on November 25th, Mercury will be starting its retrograde in Sag, and no surprise there. We have been through this many a times. Every year, a couple of times we do this, and now here we go again. So if you have big plans that needs to be detailed, contracts that needs to be signed, do it the day before, or even further before, because Mercury being retrograde, it's not a great time for detailed planning.
No.
So if you know you're going on a big trip or you have to plan stuff, just try and do that before. And if you can't, just do it really properly.
Yes. So this is the week of Thanksgiving for the US. And so a lot of people travel that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday prior to Thanksgiving. And because this is a Mercury retrograde in the sign of travel, Sagittarius, I'm going to be real advisory here to just make sure you triple check, quadruple check all of the things, all of the travel things, and be very flexible because you don't know what's going to happen, right? But this is definitely in the travel department. You will see this the most, I think. With airports, maybe there's going to be delays. There might be gasoline shortage. Who the heck knows, right? But just be flexible and recognize it's Mercury. Thanks, buddy.
True.
All right. So the next 2 days after that, Wednesday, the 27th, this is the day before Thanksgiving in the US. The sun is in Sag, and this is having a lovely trine to Mars. So this looks beneficial for movement when it comes to Mars taking action in Leo and being courageous and bold. And then the sun in Sag. So we've got some highlighting energy in Sagittarius. So this is enthusiastic energy and confidence boosting energy. So if you maybe weren't excited about something, this could be an energy that gets you excited. Maybe you weren't looking forward to Thanksgiving and now you're like, well, maybe it isn't so bad. It can help with that confidence boost for sure.
Yeah, definitely like taking on bigger tasks and getting braver and more optimistic about things that you maybe weren't as optimistic about before. Now you're like, I'll take that risk.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great day. So that's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So you'll have a little bit more ability to kind of navigate these obstacles of family and all of that with a little bit more ease, a little bit more class. Leo's pretty good at navigating challenging situations, a little bold there. So being able to make some power moves, right? And then we've got a little bit of calmness. And then November 30th is a Saturday. And there's a couple things happening. So first, it's a new moon in Sag, which is something we'll chat about. But there's also an asteroid, Pallas Athena, and she's moving into Capricorn. And this is our planet of that really has a lot to do with our wisdom. So I like to think of her as like the counterpart to Mars. And where he's like the energy of the masculine kind of ego, where she's like the feminine wisdom. She's like, honey, sit down. Mama's got this, right? Like, take your muscles and go sit over there for a minute. Let me negotiate. Let me work this out with my words. So Pallas Athena is a pretty cool planet. I like to look at her in charts, but she's moving into Capricorn on November 30th. And this is a really lovely energy for really taking that negotiation and that mediation into the practical, grounded, hardworking sign of Capricorn, and take your talents and be able to like move them forward with your wisdom. Okay, how do I take one step at a time? How do I climb this corporate ladder? What are the steps I need to take to negotiate my way through this rocky terrain? So this is a really great energy if you are entering into business contracts or you are negotiating a new position with work or whatever. This has a great practical application to the way you use your mind. So I love that one. So that's a great day to happen, or it's a great energy to happen on the same time as a new moon. I love those.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this month we have 2 new moons, which is not so common, but it happens. It happens. And so yeah, the last day of the month, a new moon in Sagittarius. New moon, new start. We started the month with a new moon in Scorpio, really diving into all the Scorpionic themes. And now it's exactly what you said. Like the new moon in Scorpio is like we dig into the ground. We tighten that. What's it called?
The pullback of the bow, right?
Yes, we're pulling back. And then now on the last of November, you release that arrow, pretty much.
That feels like perfect bookends to November.
Yeah, it does.
Starting it and ending it. I'm liking November's energy so much more than October. So much more.
Yeah. And in November now we have plenty more fire than we've had in the sky for a while. There's been a lot of water and a lot of air.
I know you've been feeling it. I have too.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just feels good with some fire, with some flame, some heat, and some drive, some expansion, and actually taking action now on the things that have been boiling inside.
Yes, well said. That's exactly how I would have worded it. It's the action taking, because we've been pulling back, and now we get to release and go somewhere. It feels very much like the end of a pregnancy when you're just like sitting there waiting. You're like, well, I can't really make many plans because I'm going to make a life here in a second, right? But I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs, just waiting for the pressure to build enough to then take action and have go time. And I've done it 5 times and there's just no way to explain it. You just have to surrender until it's time to go. You can't force the energy. I mean, you can, but it's not advice. So you wait. And energetically, November starts with the pullback and it ends with the release, which feels really aligned. And lots of good supportive things within there when it comes to contracts or working together or like launching things or growing something or stepping into your gifts and really using them in a business sense. I feel like there's lots of businessy stuff going on this month.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to our November forecast. It's always fun to explore the month and see what the energy is looking like. And then also to go back and see what it was like for last month.
And yes, I feel like I need to, it's always good to, maybe you can, this is what I'm going to do, I think, and I would suggest many more. You can, listen to this whole episode in one go, but then each week, maybe you listen to those dates that are coming just as a reminder, like, oh, okay, what was it now? Go back and listen to those minutes when we talked about that exact week, just as a reminder to see what we need to focus on right now.
Right. And remember that these transits happen at specific days, but some of them are slower moving. So you may feel them for 3, 4, 5 days. You may feel them a lot longer than just that particular day. So if you're like, well, they said it was happening Friday, but I was feeling that shit on Tuesday. Yeah, You absolutely can. And also depending on what's happening in your chart in that particular location, you're going to feel it more, right? Like this new moon in Scorpio is happening on my Jupiter. Well, I'm really feeling it, like really feeling it. But in some areas, in some new moons, I don't feel anything. So it depends on what's going on in your chart in those areas. So just kind of pay attention to your own natal chart and see what's going on in the sign of Scorpio or signs of Sagittarius, because you'll probably be really lit up a lot this month.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much. And if you ever want to get a reading with the two of us, you can head over to our podcast homepage. You can join Patreon. We would love it if you would share this. And we will probably be back in 2 weeks with more for you. But we're going to give updates and stuff when we figure it all out. And we'll keep you updated as to what's going on and how we're transforming the podcast. So thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Ram and Goat Astrology. You can support the show by buying us a coffee or a tea. Link in the show notes. Your financial support means the world to us. Join us next time.